Good morning. Have y'all had a good morning so far? All right. The first time I was called disabled, I was shocked. The statement was laden with all the trimmings of any other foregone conclusion. The words flowed with great ease and fluidity off the lips as they were hurled in my direction. The air of irrefutability disregarded any evidence to the contrary. And the embedded assumption of acceptance gave no permission to the possibility that the recipient would object. Screw that. That statement came towards me after 25 years of a diagnosis of a genetic vision impairment that has no correction or cure. And in those 25 years, in that quarter of a century, no teacher, classmate, professor, no physician, no vision loss expert, no classmate, no colleague, no boss, no boss's boss, no family member or friend or flight attendant or barista ever called me disabled. Visually impaired, yes. Legally blind, yes. Partially sighted, my total fave, yes. And in those 25 years, I had accomplished a lot. I had established a terrific career with leadership positions in the not-for-profit and the corporate sector. I owned my own home. I lived independently. I traveled the world. I danced tango in every country I had ever been in. I even completed a marathon. Yeah, let me tell you. I will not tell you how much time it took me, but I completed it. And that's really the important part. They always say, don't give yourself a time on the first time around. Just finish it, because then you'll want to beat yourself the next time. And that's what I thought. I'll beat myself the next time. And it's been 8 years and I haven't done it yet. So I had listed in my head all of these accomplishments, and I looked at my so-called normal counterpart, who, by the way, hadn't checked off any of those boxes, but let's just keep that amongst us. And I presented proof. And what was interesting to me is that the flippant attitude evolved into aggressive assertion, a force to try to make me subscribe to a label that was not only unsolicited, but was oddly non-negotiable. And words are powerful. The word disability, when not applied to humans, has a variety of meanings. It can indicate a proactive intervention to make something that works not work, like a disabled alarm. There's also the disabled car variety, which would indicate a car that's broken down at the side of the highway that needs a mechanic and a tow truck because it's not capable for functioning for what it's been designed. So when that word that's used to describe that car, and Lord help us if it's during rush hour on the George Washington Bridge blocking out traffic for miles, is the same word that's used to describe me, I'm just gonna have a sassy attitude about it. When used to describe people, the word disabled describes a broad spectrum of individuals, including those who require 24-hour care to accomplish activities of daily life, and half of the working population. So when someone uses the word disabled to describe a person, how are we supposed to know what exactly do they mean? But it ain't my first rodeo. So I know by how I'm treated what people really think and believe about a disabled person or a person with a disability. And I'm very grateful to be generally surrounded by folks who demand and only accept that I show up with my A game. I mean, I'm at PeaceLove, right? Yeah, exactly. They empower me to do my best and accept nothing less than pushing the envelope and continuing to grow. There are also a lot of individuals who are very supportive and kind and mother henning, who will never let me fall off a curb or a stage. Those of you in the front row might be able to see two white strips on the stage, and that's to make sure that I just don't go too far and start crowd surfing. And a little mother henning is to make sure, again, that I don't fall off a curb or a stage or burn myself by overflowing hot water in an ivory-colored cup. Or any color cup, really, it doesn't matter. Can't see the water, I'll burn myself. But there's a third bucket of people, and these folks, bless their little hearts, they are so interesting. Intentionally or not, conscious or not, they demean and belittle because their belief about incapability comes across and is transferred in a way that emphasizes people who have great potential and great ability and great skill. That third bucket of people is so interesting to me because it is completely juxtaposed to my experience. What I have loved to do professionally, one of the things, is to build and cultivate high-performance teams. I love it so much. And when we can achieve outrageous outcomes, it's even all more worthwhile. But these folks don't let that happen. And I don't understand why. Because in my experience, both in the work environment and now working with my clients to do a lot of that same kind of thing, there are 4 key themes that have emerged. First is that no one has it all. There's not one person, high performance, high potential, overachiever type A, or anything else on the spectrum, who has every skill honed to a perfect point for every situation of every day of their lives. So if nobody has it all, how is me not having 20/20 vision such a problem for some people? I mean, I will say that there are some things not worth seeing. And you all laugh in that knowing kind of way. And then you all describe it to me, and I'm like, I don't have to live with that. So really, how significant of it is how much of a problem is it? The flip side of not everybody has it all is that everybody has something. There are natural skills and talents that when teased out and cultivated and grown and supported, allow anyone to be successful. Why is the focus not there? A second key theme that I've noticed in the sense that everyone does have some natural talent is that talents and skills and strengths are situational. I like to describe this to my teams as like a marching band. And all the fanfare and all the enthusiasm that hundreds of people marching in some sort of unique pattern can convey to a crowd of thousands of people. But did you ever notice that there's no piano in a marching band? It's not because there's something wrong with the piano. Piano is a fantastic instrument that's best suited for a concert hall or a stage, not being drug around a football field. So strengths are situational. And the key is for leaders to be able to align the situations and the strengths, not tell folks that they can't do something because they're unable. Quite frankly, I need a ladder to get to the highest shelf in my kitchen, as do many of you. The third key theme, now I know there's some Buckeyes in the room because I heard y'all cheering before, but as a very proud Penn State alum, thank you, let's talk at lunch. As a very proud Penn State alum, I love to tee up this third theme as a championship football team. So Buckeyes, you get that too. A football team has 3 components: offense, defense, and special teams. And a team needs all 3, the diverse skill set, in order to be a championship team. And within those teams, you have different kinds of positions. On offense, a wide receiver and a center have completely different skill sets and physiques. And what would happen if the entire team was made up of linebackers or quarterbacks? The diversity of skill set would not exist to create a winning team. The 4th key piece is, I think, the most interesting. And it's that a diagnosis is a tremendous asset. Now let me explain. If disclosure is the right thing, it opens up transparent communication, sets clear expectations, and allows for an authentic partnership that is what most businesses, communities, groups, and families want. And the opportunity to walk into a room and say, I'm not going to recognize you 10 minutes later. And don't take it personally, I have mistaken an Asian man for my mom. It's true. It is true. Not joking. And if you've seen my TED Talk, yes, I really did walk into a men's room and say, I'm sorry, everything is too small for me to see. But the ability to be able to clearly articulate what you can do and where you need a little assistance is really helpful. And I promise you, no one has ever, none of the so-called normal have ever walked into an interview with me and said, I'm so insecure that I'm going to steal all of your ideas and present them as my own. I will consistently overpromise and underdeliver, and I will always show up late and leave early. But you do find I'd figure these out along the way. So the ability to have that open and transparent dialogue is so important, and a diagnosis facilitates that conversation in a really meaningful and important way. But let's face it, it's a dog-eat-dog world sometimes, and everything is set up as success and failure. And like it or not, I'm going to be judged as being a disabled person, and like it or not, that disability is going to be seen as a weakness. And like it or not, people are going to think that weakness will lead to failure. So I leave you with this. It is generally accepted that if you shoot for 90 and you get 91, it's a success. But if you shoot for 100 and you get 98, it's a failure. But if 98 is always greater than 91, which is which? You have the ability to decide. Thank you.